This is the Natko F4, and it is a cargo style e-bike. It's the type of e-bike that you would get if you think that you're going to find yourself going out, running small errands, getting groceries, delivering things from here to there. This is going to be the type of bike that you would want to get because you are able to fix a pretty wide rack right on the back of it right here, and then you'll be able to strap all of your stuff down. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about this bike. Definitely going to take it for a ride and get a sense of how it feels and how it handles and all that good stuff so that you can have a good idea of whether this is going to be the right bike for you. So just to get some quick specs out of the way, this bike is powered by a rear hub motor at 500 watts and it peaks at 750 watts. You also have a throttle here on the right handlebar, but it's not a twist throttle like you've seen a lot of e-bikes. Instead, it has a thumb throttle, which is something that you tend to see in scooters. So if you don't want to move your wrist like this, just a simple down press with your thumb is going to get you that acceleration that you need without having to pedal. You also have yourself a 6-speed Shimano shifter, also right here on the right handlebar. That's also something that we see in a lot of e-bikes to help you conquer those hills or to give you a little bit more resistance when you're pedaling when you're on a flat surface. Over on the left side of the e-bike, you have these buttons that control the front headlight, which is a nice big wide circular headlight. You also have a electronic horn underneath that headlight, and then you have these plus and minus buttons on this controller here, and that's going to control your pedal assist levels. There are 5 pedal assist levels in total, with each one giving you a little bit more power when you are pedaling. Now, this is a cadence sensor when you're pedaling, so that means that as soon as the bike detects the motion of the pedals, it is going to propel you forward. You're also going to get a very nice screen right there on the center, and that's going to serve as your digital display to let you know how fast you're going. It's going to give you your battery levels. It can give you your voltage if you choose to look at your voltage instead of relying on just the battery meter, and just some basic information like your odometer. You'll be able to see that all right here as well. Now, when you get this bike, I think the best thing about it is that it comes mostly pre-assembled, and that is going to make it easier for you to get everything up and running so that you can finally go out and ride. So take a look at what the assembly process is like, and then we'll come back. So the bike comes mostly assembled. There's just a few things that we got to do. We got to put some pedals on it, have to attach the handlebar, but let's take a look at some of the accessories that comes with it. We got some foot pegs here. Also got a couple of pedals, another foot peg, and then also got some tools to help you assemble what needs to be assembled. And inside of here is an assortment of Allen keys, different Allen keys of different sizes. We also have a couple of wrenches here as well. So yeah, everything that you need to get started, and all comes inside of this black pouch. There's also a screwdriver in here as well. And yeah, this will be an easy way to keep everything nice and organized. But for right now, I'm going to have to make sure that these handlebars can be attached to the bike. So let's do that now. I need to remove these 4 screws right here that's holding this bracket down. Got the huge Allen key that came out of the pack. So good that they include something like that just to make things a lot easier for you. So now all I did was take this top part off, and then you can just put the handlebar into the slot that is open, and then take the rest of these screws and just reattach them. I'm just going to do it loosely at first, get the angle that I want for the handlebars, and then just tighten everything right back down again. So got all 4 of those in there. And you see like it's still pretty loose. And this is when you can just adjust it the way that you want to adjust it. I think I'm just going to kind of keep it relatively centered like that. You know, I really do like the fact that this bike comes mostly assembled, even in that, you know, huge box that it has. Because one of the pain points, I think, for getting a bike and having to assemble it by putting on the wheels and stuff, and granted, it's not a difficult thing to do, to put the wheels on and stuff, but it's very nice to not have to do that at all. Simple things like the handlebars and the pedals, attaching like a rear light or attaching a mount to it. You know, those things are good and simple, but the hard part is already done. So now that I got the handlebars all nice and tight, I'm going to attach the screen here. And for the screen, you have these brackets right here. And these brackets have little tiny screws that go in here. And I took them out so that they can just be open like this. And then they also came with these little spacers right here. So you can just take these spacers and put them on the handlebars, you know, just for like safekeeping. You can know where they go, and then you'll be able to position the screen the way that you need to. I'm just going to first wrap this one around here, and then you can also get the angle of the screen that you want. Just wrap that other spacer around like that, just kind of get it centered, and then I can take one of the little screws and just reattach the screw and then tighten it down just enough so that the screw can find its way into its housing so that it won't fly off. I'm not trying to tighten it down completely. I just want to make sure that it's not going to open up on itself and fly away somewhere. And now I'm going to do that with the second screw as well. Get that into place. Tighten this down enough. You still have enough slack to be able to move the screen to a good position. So I think this is pretty much good for me. Let's say about right there. And you can always readjust it later if you want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this tightened all the way down. Now it's time to attach the pedals. The pedals are labeled left and right, and you can see that right here. This says R for right, so I'm going to attach it right down here. Just kind of get it going by hand. And then we'll come back with the wrench that's provided to really tighten it down. Here on the rear is where you can put these foot rests. So you can just tighten that down just like that and grab the other one. You don't need any tools for this. There's just this big screw that sticks out, and then you just put it on and tighten it down with your hand. So here's the battery mounted to the frame. You can press the power button to see what kind of charge it has in it. You see right out the box, it has 3 bars of charge. There's also a keyhole on the left side. So if you put in the key and you turn it, you'll be able to take the battery out just like that. And then you can just simply put the battery right back in there. Then it is locked again. And just in case you're wondering how to power this on, because it actually had me a little bit stumped for a minute, the power button is underneath this the control right here that you use to increase your pedal assist level. It's at the very bottom. So you press and hold that and then the screen turns on just like that. But yeah, that is it. And also there is a tail light in the back that I did not have to assemble. It already came on the bike assembled, so that is great. And now here comes the fun part where I get to go for a ride. Now, this bike does have that step through frame and the seat is not adjustable. And that means that you don't have to work yourself to get on the bike. So if you find yourself to be on the shorter side, or maybe you just don't have a whole lot of mobility that you used to have, this is not the kind of bike that you have to throw your leg over like a horse, so you'll be able to just step through it nice and easy, and then you'll be able to sit down nice and easy too. Now, the only thing about this bike and its height off the ground is that it's not very tall. And what that means is you do have to be mindful of your turning. So if you're going kind of fast and you're coming up to a corner, naturally you will want to lean the bike a bit so that you can narrow your turning radius. But with this bike, since it is so low to the ground, if you tilt the bike too much, then the pedals are going to scrape against the ground. And your foot may also touch the ground as well. That's something that you don't want to happen, especially if you are going a pretty decent speed just for safety's sake, so you don't get caught up. So just keep in mind that this is a cargo bike. It's not meant to be something that's used for like the bike equivalent of drag racing or stunt biking or anything like that. You're meant to just ride as straight up as you possibly can and make nice, smooth, somewhat wide turns in order to keep your pedals from scraping the ground. So just kind of keep that in mind. Although this bike does not have any issue getting up to about 20 miles per hour through your throttling or through your sheer foot power with the pedal assist, you do have to be mindful when it comes to turning so that you don't potentially hurt yourself. And when you're looking at this bike, you can see that the style of it is very reminiscent of those e-bike styles that sort of look like cafe racer motorcycles. And it would look exactly like that if it weren't for the cargo rack in the back and the step through frame. It's got that nice big round headlight on it, which is just great. It's good for safety and for visibility. When you're out there on the road, you can just keep that light on all the time. It's not going to be too taxing on your battery, and it'll just make sure that people can see you when you're coming up. I found this bike to be very smooth, especially when going over some bumps. Now, it does have suspension both in the front and the rear of the bike. And if you have not experienced that kind of full suspension before, let me tell you, once you have, it's going to be very difficult to go back to the old ways, because just doing something like going over a curb that would normally rock your backside, when you feel the bike taking the brunt of that and the whole experience is just so smooth, and it makes you wonder, did you even go over it in the first place? Yes, you did, but that suspension was able to absorb all of that, and that is absolutely fantastic. And it's great for a cargo bike too, considering that you may have the rack installed and you may have things inside of that rack. So just being able to keep down on all the really forceful up and down bumping, that is a very, very big plus for when you're hauling things and if you're just hauling yourself. This is the first e-bike that I've tried that has a thumb throttle, and I like the thumb throttle. I'm used to the twist throttles, and there's nothing wrong with that, but using the thumb throttle is just a lot easier. And again, going back to the whole mobility thing, if there's someone who has maybe issues with their wrists, having that thumb throttle is just so much easier to use. Now, you do kind of lose a little bit of the fine control that you can get with the throttle and just being able to put it in a certain position and holding it. When it comes to the thumb throttle, a lot of the times you're either using it all the way or you're not really using it at all. So when it comes to just sort of trying to modulate your throttle usage, is really more of a give you a bit of a burst of speed, and then you regulate that by braking, or you regulate that by just letting it coast and your miles per hour goes down, and then you make up for that with pedaling. So you lose the fine control of a throttle, but you get the ease of use of boosting your acceleration more quickly and more easily. Let's talk a little bit about the power of the bike. So one thing that I really like to do when it comes to trying out an e-bike, I need to know how good it's going to do on hills. So I tend to take it to this place where I find the hill to be especially steep coming out of this particular neighborhood. And if the bike can make it up that hill without too much trouble, then to me, that means that it's pretty darn good at hills. I don't know the degree of the incline of this hill, but I do know that if you are going down the hill, you don't even have to pedal, and you can get up to about 25 miles per hour just going downhill with gravity. But with this bike, I made sure that I was in the lowest gear possible, and I bumped the pedal assist all the way up to 5, and I just pedaled normally. Getting to the crest of that hill, of course, is going to take more power, it's going to take more work out of you, but I didn't feel stressed. I did not have to get out of my seat in order to give my legs a little bit more power to get up the hill. It managed to get up the hill with assistance from me, of course, but it did make it up, and I was happy with the ease that I went through in order to get up that hill. And that gives me confidence that it can tackle any hill just about in this particular area. So that's good to know. If you live in an environment that is not flat, you got to go up some hills. You're going to have to work a little bit depending on how steep that hill is, but this bike is going to do most of the work for you. But as far as the brakes go, I mean, they're brakes. They work just fine. They are not like the highest end brakes in the world. They are not hydraulic brakes, but you know, for what they are, they're just fine. Again, this is a cargo bike, and for most of the time, this is not the type of bike that you would want to be going as fast as you can all the time, because it's a cargo bike and you're expected to be hauling stuff with it, and then also because of the clearance from the ground. Like I said earlier, it's not very high, so it would not be the best idea to try to take some tight corners with it, because you're going to scrape the pedals along the ground. But you know, even if you don't want to use this for transporting things, if you can find yourself a third-party accessory for like a seat, for example, you can put that back there in place of the rack, and you can have someone riding on the back with you, and they have a place to put their feet on those foot pegs. So I mean, it always have to be a cargo bike. You can double it up and have it be a little transportation bike for two if you want. So it just kind of adds to the whole versatility of it. But you know, in the time that I've been using this bike, I have really, really enjoyed it. It is a nice, smooth experience. I love that suspension. It just makes the ride that much more pleasant. And it is definitely an eye catcher. You're going to turn some heads, especially with this color, having that nice, bright yellow. It keeps you nice and visible. It attracts attention, that's a good thing. You do want to be visible out there on the road, especially if you're going to be around cars, so people be able to see you nice and clearly. And it is a pretty cool design. You know, it's got that nice cafe racer style when you look at it head on, but then when you look at it in the back, it's like, oh, okay, you can actually do some functional stuff with this bike as well, not just tearing it up across the neighborhood and on trails and scaring people along the way. So yeah, that is the Natko F4 e-bike. It is a very good bike. I am very happy with it, and I will leave a link in the description to where you can find it for the price that it currently sells. So thank you all so much for watching. Till next time, take care of yourselves
and I'll speak to you soon.